Welcome back to step 10 of our 6-inch smooth operator build. I'm Joel LikeCatcher. I hope you've subscribed and hit that notification button on the channel. This video is part of a series on how to build the 6-inch smooth operator quadcopter. So this is for people who know what they're doing, and this is after we've wired everything up. So I'm going to go over what we've done and the hits and misses and what worked and what didn't work. So let's start up front with the camera. We have the Falcor Micro by Fox here right in the front, and this was a dream. This worked out so beautifully, just setting it all up. The wires that came with it were long enough to reach all the way back to the flight controller. Didn't have any problem at all with it. The only thing I still need to do is turn off the on-screen display. That competes with the Betaflight on-screen display. Moving further back, we've got the Hellgate buzzer there. This was a little bit more pricey than the one that I like, which is the Betaflight, which I picked this because it was very small and I thought I was going to have to tuck it inside. But in the 6-inch model, we have enough room to put a buzzer there. I could have actually put the larger Betaflight, which is louder and has a bigger battery, and that would have worked just fine. And it's held on with some double-sided tape and this zip tie. Moving further back, we've got our ESC all wired up, nothing special there. I do have it rotated 90 degrees, and I've remapped the motors to work with this orientation of motor 1, 2, 3, and 4, because otherwise it would be spinning the wrong motors. And we have our connection right on the side that sneaks in around and comes out here. Moving further back, we have our flight controller all wired up, and on top we have our VTX. Now this is not where we started. This is the Unify Pro high voltage VTX. I originally wanted to work with this. This is the Mach 3 by Race Day Quads. I really do like this VTX very, very much. Unfortunately, we had some challenges with it. As you can see, it is very thick. It's much thicker than the Unify Pro. Also, the opening is kind of small on the quad. I actually was trying to put it underneath, and I had to grind out the edges because originally it was supposed to mount on the underside, but I couldn't quite get that to fit, so I put it on top, the flat surface of this VTX and the flat of the Pyro Drone Hyperlight F4 flight controller that we're using. Just worked very well, so I can just get it right there on the top. I'm hoping that when I get the top plate on there, it should fit flush the way it should. Also, when I had this, I tried to put it on here, and you can see there we have the USB connection right there. And when I had it here, I had it like this underneath, and I had this snaking around, and even if I can get it in there, it was tight. But worse was the knuckle of the MMCX connector was interfering with my ability to plug in the USB unless I removed the antenna, and that was a real, pardon me, bitch of a problem, pardon my French. So I decided this was just too much trouble, and I put in my old Unify that I happen to have in my stash of parts. Moving further back, we have our GPS. This is the one from Race Day Quads, and that works very well. By the way, I know this shrink wrap looks terrible. Did I say shrink wrap? Shrink tube. I know it looks terrible. Tomorrow I'm going to be getting some newer shrink tube that'll be smaller, and I'm going to redo this. So that's nice and neat, just like we have over here. Flipping over, here we have our FrSky R9mm receiver. I want to stress, this is not the R9 mini receiver. It is the R9mm receiver. It's a different model. Now, I lost a whole day trying to get FPort, the new protocol, to work on this. And it wouldn't work. I pulled my hair out. I went on lots of boards and discovered the FPort protocol it's a little young. It's kind of bleeding edge technology because it'll work on a F3 flight controller. It'll work on an F7 flight controller, but will not work on an F4 flight controller. There's a goof there. So I ended up having to set it up on S-Bus, and even the SmartPort didn't quite work as well as I wanted to, so I had to set the RSSI on UART4 serial, not SmartPort, and on the receiver turn on RSSI on aux12, which is channel 16, and that worked fine. So now I got RSSI. Also, you might notice we have a capacitor here. I know Neill liked to mount his out here on the end of his XT60. I don't really care to do that because I tend to knock my drones around a bit. So I have this little cap here that I mounted on the bottom, which gave me the ability to put some nice wires on there, and it tucks inside beautifully. I'm very happy with that. Also, you might notice we have this antenna. This is not the TBS Immortal T. This is the FR Sky version that has the IPEX4 connector that works with the R9 Mini and the R9MM receiver. And it kind of snakes around and twists around, and I'm going to just leave this floating just like that. I pre-bound the receiver, and everything is just beautiful there. So that's pretty much it. Now the next thing you may say is, why do you have an XT60? You're not supposed to put that on now. And you're right. I soldered it on temporarily just to test. And I really do believe that you need to test your gear, because who likes magic smoke? I know I'm not a fan of it. So let's go do a little testing. I got this on continuity, and it makes a beep. So the first test is always, how are we doing on the XT60? Do we have a short? And the answer is no. Silence is golden there. So, and if I put this on the ground, let's see how we're doing with ground. Ground goes there fine. Sometimes this happens, and that's because I've charged up a capacitor. If I go back and double check, there's no short. So don't let that alarm you that I got a buzz on the voltage line. That was just the capacitor. And if I come over here, I see I have ground. Ground is working. Ground is working. Where's the ground? There's another ground. That's good. And if I change this over to voltage, again, we got voltage here. See that stopped? Voltage, nothing. And I come back to check the grounds. Nothing. Nothing on any of these. Which is, the only one I should get is VBAT and nothing else. Just VBAT and not ground. So this is perfect. We have no shorts here. Now that I have that, I can, with confidence, plug this in and make sure we have things connected and no smoke. So that's our insurance. Let's try this out. And beautiful. Did you notice the race lights came on during the ESC check? We got the receivers blinking. All the lights are working. I have already tested this with my goggles and my radio, and everything is working beautifully. So now that this is all set up, we've pretty much gone through all of step 10 now. We've gone through all of step 12, soldering up. Well, we are up to step 13, which is mounting the antenna. So we're going to do that in the next video. So stay tuned. I'm Joe LikeCatcher. Please like, subscribe, and hit that bell. And I'll see you in the next video in a few minutes. Stay tuned. Bye. Thanks for watching till the end of this video. This video is part of a series on how to build the 6-inch smooth operator quadcopter. I hope you found it valuable. If you did, please consider being one of my Patreon subscribers. I'm Joe LikeCatcher, and I really appreciate your spending your time with me. Remember to click that subscribe button and hit the notification bell so you'll know when my next video goes up.